hello and a pleasant welcome, my dear children. We have discussed about real and nominal GDP and also understood that real GDP is a better indicator of economic development as compared to nominal GDP. GDP measures the actual value of goods and services produced in an economy during an accounting year. But still, does real GDP indicate overall economic performance of the country? Actually, the prosperity of the country is better judged by the per capita real GDP. Per capita real GDP equals to total real GDP divided by the population of country. Higher the population, lower will be the per capita real GDP and lower availability of goods per person. Thus, real GDP is widely used index of welfare, but it suffers from various limitations. In this unit, children, we will be learning about the relation between per capita real GDP and welfare. You are aware about GDP and real GDP, so let's start from welfare. So, what you understand by the term welfare? If you see the dictionary meaning of welfare, it's well-being. Well-being of humans, which is influenced by a number of factors. Our lifestyle, the goods that we consume, the luxuries that we have, clean drinking water, clean environment, good medicine, social security, law and order situation, and so on. GDP can maximum indicate economic welfare, but it is not that it does not affect non-economic welfare. It does affect non-economic welfare. Higher the services and consumption or social security, higher the welfare. Lower the pollution, higher would be the welfare. Children, as you can see on screen, welfare or social welfare or total welfare can be categorized as economic welfare and non-economic welfare. As the term itself suggests, economic welfare covers up national income, consumption level, that is, which can be expressed in monetary terms. Whereas non-economic welfare covers up law and order situation prevailing in the economy, social security. It also covers up environmental pollution and so on. The sum of economic and non-economic welfare constitutes social welfare. It means the total welfare of the society. A higher GDP, of course, indicates a higher welfare, as it means higher availability of goods and services per person. It means increases the level of output, other things remaining constant. But does it always mean a higher welfare? There are some limitations related to the positive relationship between GDP and welfare. A higher GDP indicates higher economic welfare, but by itself is not an adequate indicator. Not all the time increase in real GDP would lead to increase in social welfare. Let's take an example. The industrial growth increases GDP and consequently the economic welfare. But at the same time, industrial growth may also lead to an increase in pollution and consequently a decrease in the non-economic welfare. The crux of the chapter is to analyze whether per capita real GDP can be taken as an indicator of economic welfare by itself. We will analyze it on the basis of following limitations. Non-monetary exchanges are the activities which are performed for not monetary gains. There are so many activities which are performed in the economy, carried out on daily basis, which are not recorded and accounted in national income accounting. Example, the housewife taking care of the family, cooking food, taking care of the children, teaching their own children, taking care of grandparents, even own account production. All these services are not performed for monetary gains and thus not recorded in national income accounting. Due to difficulties in collecting data, these non-exchange and non-monetary production activities are left out on account of, again, non-availability of data and problem of valuation. Though it is agreed by most of the economists that they are all contribute to welfare, even payments made to the laborers in kind goes unrecorded. They all cause underestimation of GDP. So, when we take into account GDP as an indicator of economic welfare, we land up underestimating the welfare. So, next is externalities. When we talk about externalities, it refers to the good and bad impact of an economic activity without receiving the price or paying penalty for that. It can also be explained as when the activities of one result in benefits or harm to others with no payments received for the benefit and no payment made for the harm done, such benefits and harms are called externalities. Now, as you can see on screen, there is a flow chart which shows the impact of these externalities, both positive and negative, on the welfare. The activities resulting in benefits to others are called positive externalities, which increases the welfare, whereas those resulting in harm to others are called negative externalities and decreases welfare. As you can see on screen, GDP does not take into account these externalities, which leads to overestimation or underestimation of welfare. For example, construction of a flyover reduces transport cost and journey time of its users who have not contributed anything towards its cost. Expenditure on construction is included in GDP, but not the positive externalities flowing from it. GDP and positive externalities both increases welfare. Therefore, taking only GDP as an index of welfare understates welfare. Another example, Varun maintains a beautiful garden, which is also enjoyed by the people in neighborhood who do not make any payment for it. It affects the welfare of the neighbors, but they do not pay for it, though it increases the welfare. Therefore, taking only GDP as an indicator of welfare understates welfare, as it means that welfare is much more than what is indicated by GDP. Similarly, as discussed in the above example, when the factories produce goods, at the same time they create pollution of water and air. The pollution harms people due to the waste emitted by the factories, but these factories are not required to pay anything for harming people, which leads to loss in social welfare. Producing goods increases welfare, but creating pollution reduces social welfare. Therefore, taking only GDP as an index of welfare overstates welfare in this case. Welfare is much less than indicated by GDP. Next, speaking about per capita real GDP as an indicator of economic welfare and fair distribution of income as a limitation. Distribution of income is a limitation in considering per capita real GDP as an indicator of economic growth. Children, all people do not earn the same amount of income. Some earn more and some less. Per capita real income is an average calculation. As we have seen in the first slide, it's total real income divided by population. So, we arrive at average income. In reality, some earn more than the average and some earn less than the average. And for some of them, the income may actually fall. This may be due to unequal distribution of income prevailing in the economy. When there is fall in the income of an individual, the loss that he sustains is much more severe than the gain earned by those whose real income has increased, maybe as much as the national average shows, or a little bit less or more. This is because the marginal utility of a rupee is much more for the poor than to the rich. So, the decline of income for the poor impacts them more severely. This leads to decline in the welfare of the poor, which will be more than the increase in welfare of the rich. Therefore, if with the rise in per capita real income, inequality increases, it may lead to a decline in overall welfare of the economy. Or even if welfare rises, it may rise in less proportion as compared to the rise in per capita GDP. This point must be kept in view in drawing conclusions about economic welfare and GDP as an indicator. If we take the case of kind of goods being produced in an economy, we analyze that all the goods do not contribute to the welfare equally. Some of these products contribute more to the welfare of the people, like food, clothes, house, etc., while other products like police services, military services, research expenditure may contribute less and may not directly affect the standard of living of the people. Therefore, how much is the economic welfare would depend more on the type of goods and services produced and not simply how much is produced. It means that if GDP rises, the increase in welfare may not be in the same proportion. Also, contribution of some products may be negative, but when we calculate gross domestic product, it includes the values of all goods and services produced in an economy, whether it is milk or liquor. Now, let's consider milk. It provides both immediate and ultimate satisfaction to the consumer, and it leads to good health. On the other hand, liquor may provide immediate satisfaction, but ultimately it leads to decline in welfare because of the harmful effects it causes on the health. But while calculating GDP, these impacts on the well-being is not considered. What we analyze is GDP includes only the monetary values of the products and not their contribution to the welfare. The welfare depends not only on the volume of consumption but also on the type of goods and services consumed. So children, per capita real GDP can be taken as an indicator of economic welfare, but in doing so, we should not lose sight of its limitations. It is also to be kept in mind that real GDP per capita is not an indicator of total welfare, that is social welfare, but only a part of it called economic welfare. That's all for today, children. We will meet again shortly with an assignment. Goodbye. Take care.